Let's welcome in world champion David Taylor. David, welcome to the show.
Eric, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hey, thank you for joining. Second time, you're the first repeat guest that we've had on UWW Live. You helped kick this thing off. So from there until now, we've interviewed wrestlers from 25 different nations, 30 world champions, 12 Olympic gold medalists, and you started it all. So I just want to say thank you for that.
No, thank you. It's exciting to see obviously what you're doing with the social platforms, UWW, and just the reach you guys have over the whole world. So it's exciting to be a part of that. I appreciate being the first one, and I'm excited to be the first person to be on here twice.
Let's jump into your match with Jordan BURROUGHS. You're coming off, you've had a lot of big wins, but this one may have meant the most to you. And we'll start here. Looking back, when you made the decision to move from 74 to 86, not only did you leave behind the weight class, but you also left behind the potential opportunity to one day maybe avenge that loss to BURROUGHS. You ended up doing it, but when you moved up, was that a thought process, or was that a thought that you had that you may never wrestle BURROUGHS again?
Yeah, I think there's obviously just so much talk about that change in weight class. And I think the first thing I'd say is just judging by my performances, and I think at 74 kilos, I couldn't perform that well. I was cutting too much weight. It had nothing to do with like the obstacle of where it had to go. I'm sure, when there's a guy that's sitting out a weight class and there's a weight class that's wide open, sure that there's an element of that there as well. But it was the best weight class for me. That change was a career changer in terms of letting me perform at my best ability. So to say I was moving, I've never avoided a challenge in my entire life. At 86 kilos, there's Hassan Yazdani, there's many guys, there's the next guy, there's the next young person. It's not like you're moving away from one guy and you're in the world. There's the best people, there's the best in the world at every single weight class. So, but yeah, I think, just those are two guys that, I hadn't beaten in my career, Jordan and Kyle Dake. I've pretty much been able to win matches against everyone else I've wrestled. And when going up, maybe I wasn't going to wrestle those matches again. So, having the opportunity to share the mat again with Jordan was pretty special. You got two really good wrestlers being able to wrestle. And, it'd been almost 7 years since the last time that we competed. So, definitely excited to have that opportunity to wrestle him again.
And you haven't been taken to those deep waters in some time. When I was thinking back of when were you really tested and did you have to push yourself to those deep waters? And the last time I could think was maybe Karugaliev in the semifinals at the World Championships in Budapest. But how did it feel to really – you had to dig deep mentally and physically in that match. So how did it feel to get back in those deep waters?
It felt good. I think with Jordan, he's the respect obviously I have for him as a competitor. And I think you always have to be aware. But I feel like, and reflecting back on my performance, I think in that 6-minute match, I think I probably wrestled 5 of my best minutes I've ever wrestled and 1 of my worst minutes. And I think that's why you wrestle these matches, especially this year with COVID, where we're not getting, you go to a tournament and maybe you have a tough match, but you have 3 or 4 after that. Now, this was one singular match that you're preparing for, only 6 minutes. So I think, I look back, I don't feel like I was ever threatened from an offensive standpoint. I felt great. I felt awesome. But with 1 minute left, yeah, it came down to, this is a guy I hadn't beaten before, and I just was trying to win. And that's not the way that I wrestle, And I think it being a singular match, I think, and understanding, how Jordan has come from behind in those scenarios. But I knew that he needed a takedown to beat me. I didn't feel like I was in any danger of being taken down. Push-outs wouldn't beat me. So with 1 minute left, it became more tactical. So I wouldn't say that it was a deep waters push, but it became much closer than what it should have been. So I'm really thankful to have wrestled that match. And now I feel great about where I am moving forward and obviously into Tokyo.
And if I was to ask fans to give me 2 adjectives to describe David Taylor's style of wrestling, I'm sure they would say high pace or they would say extremely offensive. But I think you put on display how great your defense is, and it's often overlooked. You shut down one of the most offensive wrestlers. When you think about it, arguably he's the most feared offensive wrestler in the last decade, and you just shut him down. So that's a testament to your defense. Do you think your defense is overlooked?
I think so, because I'm so offensive, and typically, because I'm so offensive, I can score defensive. But I felt like, I felt from a defensive standpoint, I wrestled really well. Like I said, I was never really in danger of ever being taken down, and I think that, and the way I wrestled the first 5 minutes put me in that situation. Again, I wish that I would, if I go back and wrestle that match again, I would wrestle the last minute differently. But I definitely just did a good job of keeping him in front, not overreacting to his fakes, and giving him those signature overreactions where he can blast you and get that takedown. So yeah, it was good again. But it just you heighten your awareness when you have a lot of respect for an opponent and you know that they're really good. So I think that was the idea. When Jordan and I had talked about wrestling this match, it was, hey, we both wanted to have something that we were going to look forward to and train like it was our world championship, like it was our Olympics. I don't know that either one of us really wrestled the match that we wanted to, but we trained like it was the match that we needed to have. And I'm glad that we did it. I think we're both going to leave feeling pretty good about, obviously, what we were able to do to train, to have that really high caliber match. And obviously now, move forward to away from these kind of prize fight singular events to, hey, we got to win multiple matches, and obviously the main goal being in Tokyo.
And how would you say your conditioning is? This was a fan question from Ashkios, and he asked, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you gauge your conditioning in that match? 10.
I felt like when I wanted to score, I scored. I got to his leg. When I wanted to shut him down, I shut him down. And I think the last minute wasn't indicated. It was no indication of where my conditioning. I felt great. I think if that match was a tournament, I would have kept scoring. I think, but that match is set up as there's a winner and there's a loser, and you are, again, you're financially rewarded to win than you are, and then you obviously there's an element to losing. So I think that played a factor into that. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like leading that match, I feel like I'm back to definitely my form of where I was in 2018, of my conditioning and my excitement to compete. It definitely proved what I wanted to do, and but from a conditioning standpoint, I feel fantastic.
Now, the weight cut was one of those things, or excuse me, the weight difference was one of those things that was often talked about heading into this matchup. And what I thought of is I expected JB to take his offense extremely slow, especially in that first period, because the last thing he wanted to do was get caught underneath you and get in a scramble, fight for 15, 20 seconds, and completely waste his gas tank off of one shot, knowing how heavy you were. So were you surprised in his approach to his offense in that first period, or lack thereof?
Well, we weighed in, I think, 6 pounds apart, right? So I made scratch. He weighed in at his full weight. We know how big Jordan is and how hard it is for him to make 74 kilos. So, Jordan is really a 79 kilo, and maybe something between a 79 and 86 that cuts a lot of weight to 74 kilos, So the size difference wasn't that much. If Jordan decided, hey, I want to be 86, he could grow into that weight class. So, again, when you're weighing in, you're wrestling a couple hours later, the size, we were probably within 10 pounds of each other. So I think that he definitely had respect for my defense, understanding that, he couldn't really put himself in a situation, but he definitely he was trying to sting me. He was trying to get that early score, and I think hold me off. And I think it really changed his game plan when I had a really good, I think I did a really good job of kind of holding him. And obviously when I wanted to score, I could score. So I think in his mind, I think he thought he would be able to get me under him and he could reattack me. And I think that really changed it, when I was selective with my shots. And again, just not overreacting when he was getting me going.
One of the key adjustments was on your swing single. The first one, you stayed low, tried to step over, and he was crafty enough to stop you from stepping over. On your second shot, you come up to your feet, and instead of getting the 2, you get the 1. What do you have to change there to get that 2 instead of getting the 1?
One thing that Jordan does really good is he rarely ever gets taken down in the center of the mat. He knows when he can fight and he can defend, and when he is beat, he gives up push-outs. So I think, I got up, I made an adjustment on that second shot, getting up to my feet, and he made an effort to get out, and I kind of just followed him for the push-out. And I think looking back, probably should maybe – it's hard because when you get a scoring opportunity, you want to make sure you're scoring, but obviously against a guy like him, you want to make sure you're getting takedowns, just in the same way, when you're very offensive, you don't feel like push-outs are going to beat you, and I think he's the same. Like, he would have rather given up the push-out than the takedown. So I took him to the edge, and I think, from a continuation standpoint, I finished the takedown. So, I was able to go close to give 2, and I think that's a 50-50 call. I think there's some referees that award continuation, you get 2, some kind of stop it for 1. But you know what? I think it's just, you get into those leg attacks, obviously making adjustments moving forward. I got there cleanly, and, that's a position that I got to definitely get a takedown. And I was able to earn 1 later, and that was the difference in the match.
So would you have given 2? Looking back, actually, have you had an opportunity to watch the match?
I did. Yeah, I did watch it. You know,
So
like I
would
said,
you have given two?
I think it's 50-50. You know, I definitely, I mean, there's times when, you know, I think the way that it's called in the rule book is the offensive wrestler, when the defensive wrestler steps out of bounds, they can no longer improve. The offensive wrestler can improve their takedown. So if it's kind of reactionary, like, and we got there, he dropped, I covered and finished behind him. So like I said, I think, you know, you wrestle that match 10 times, 5 times a takedown, 5 times a push out. You know, I think as you watch so many matches, and I think that continuation, you know, there's times you push a guy to his hip, it's 2. Sometimes you don't have to cover. Yeah. You know, I think there's a lot of fluctuation there. So you always want to finish your takedown. You know, I finished my takedown. I'm not going to, I mean, 1, 2, you know, I think it was, like, I'm not going to argue that it was a push. I'm not going to argue it was only a push out. I'm not going to argue it was only a takedown. Like I said, I think it can be rewarded either way.
Yeah, 50-50, I agree. You said you watched it, so I'm sure you saw things differently on tape than you did during the match. And in particular, I want to talk about the takedown with the go behind. It seemed that he grabbed his groin, either way, below the waist. Did you see it as that, or in real time? Of course, when they do the replay, you see him slow down and slow to grab. Did you know that he was potentially hurt at that point?
Well, I just think as he shot, he hit my down block and I knocked him backwards. I covered my front headlock and I scored my takedown. You know, I think in his mind, it actually really surprised him, again, of the frequency of not being able to get to my legs. And I think that there was an element of, as he hit, he just kind of like, it paused for a second, you know, and obviously there's always things that happen in matches, always, any exchange, you know, obviously, but I don't think that, you know, he got up, he wrestled for a couple seconds, he finished the match, he was shooting at the end. So there was no injury, you know, obviously prevalent in that area. But I think it was maybe something more of a surprise. Like, man, I didn't get there. Sometimes we get there as wrestlers, you know, you're just like, you need a little mental refocus. And maybe that was a chance that he was trying to get a little mental refocus. He's known for that, you know, his sock pull, you know, he's known to be able to have those times where he can reset. I think he maybe saw as maybe an opportunity to reset. So you just, as a competitor, you have to keep scoring, you know, and, again, those are things that you look back. And I just, when I'm scoring, you know, obviously that's when I'm at my best. And I just got to continue to keep scoring.
And the last minute, you talked about it. Was it your best minute of wrestling? And you know Jordan Burroughs, and you go up 4-0, and then 4-1, and then 4-2, and then 4-3. At what point did you say to yourself, I'm going to change the narrative of this series right now and dig deep and win this match?
I mean, I think at the 5-minute mark, you know, I kind of made that decision in my head. I'm like, okay, he's going to need a takedown. So don't overreact to what's going to happen. And I think in doing so, I really under-wrestled. You know, it was just like, I mean, it just really, on the edge specifically, you know, I just think I look back and I definitely need to wrestle there better, you know. And I think that's where, you know, when he makes those signature comebacks, you know, he gets you reacting, you level change, and boom, he blasts you. Gets that takedown. Now he comes back with momentum. So push-ups don't really give you didn't really give him any momentum, you know. And so yeah, I should wrestle there more, but also from a tactical standpoint, knowing, okay, I'm not in any danger of getting taken down. He's going to need one. And yeah, I mean, it was a match that I hadn't won before. You know, it was, you know, he's so credentialed. So, you know, there's an element of, just got to find a way to get this win and get off the mat and reassess. And, you know, that was ultimately the decision that I made. I wish I would have made the decision to keep scoring, you know, and I think that's me at heart. That's me as a competitor. So I look back and I'm happy that I won, but I'm also disappointed in the way that I wrestled that last minute because, you know, I'm better than what I did there.
And of course, with you, the topic of Hassan Yazdani always comes up. So now, do you have wins over? It's Burroughs and Yazdani. Those are the 2 wins over Olympic champions.
And Sharifov. So 3.
And Sharifov. So 3. So one of the fans asked, what is your best win over an Olympic champion? Pick out of those 3. Who would you say?
That's tough. You know, I think all 3 of those guys have had big wins and have beaten, in their own right, beaten a lot of really good wrestlers. But I would say, obviously, to this point, I don't know. It's a tough one. You know, I just got to do it as a competitor. I just have to step out there and wrestle who's ever in front of me, you know. And at 86 kilos, you know, I believe I'm the best in the world. So I just got to continue to wrestle and train and prove that. And everyone's coming after me, whether it's an equal, if it's an Olympic champion, world champion, whoever makes their team from another country, I'm going to have to battle in the United States to make the team here in the United States. So I got to just keep that in perspective, you know, and just when I'm out there, do what I do best. That's score points, have fun. And, you know, I just enjoy wrestling, and I enjoy the ability to wrestle against the best guys. So the more quality opponents that I can wrestle, you know, that's always exciting.
Quick plug before we get to our last question. Sharif Sharifov, of course, from Azerbaijan, London Olympic champion, Rio bronze medalist. Potential to wrestle Kyle Snyder at the Henri Duglen. Follow live on UnitedWorldWrestling.org. That will potentially happen tomorrow. And then moving into our last question, just targets on your back. There's no doubt about it. You're arguably the favorite to win the Tokyo Olympic Games. But before you do that, you have to make the team. So when you look at the landscape of the U.S. at 86 kilos, I mean, everybody needs someone to chase. And the targets on your back, everyone's chasing you. Who are you chasing?
I just got to continue to get a little bit better every single day. You know, I think, you know, when I close my eyes and I think about it every night, you know, it's just about putting my best performance forward. So I'm just chasing to be a little bit better than I was the day before, you know, and I think in doing that, I proved, you know, with what my ability is and how I can perform. And I just got to take every single match like it's my toughest match. And that's what I've done the last couple of years to build to where I am now, and that doesn't change. I'm not an Olympic champion. I've never wrestled in the Olympic Games. I've never made an Olympic team. So I'm not protecting anything. You know, I'm just excited to have the opportunity to go do that. I mean, I'm in the prime of my career. I just got to take one match at a time, and hopefully I'll be there and have the opportunity to win a gold medal.
Well, David, that'll do it for this show. I want to thank you for joining once again. Second-time guest. So floor is yours. What do you have to say to your fans? Please take it away.
No, you know, I appreciate it. You know, I think, you know, obviously we're in a unique time, you know, with these COVID things. So make sure we're continuing staying safe. You know, wrestling is coming back. You know, we have a first tournament. I was supposed to be wrestling in this UWW tournament. Wasn't able to because this match with Jordan was postponed. But I'm definitely looking forward to get back on the mat and competing. And I can't wait to do so. So everyone stay safe and look forward to seeing everybody soon. Thank you.
That'll do it for this episode of UWW Live. I've been Eric Olanowski. If you want to catch all the action for the Henri Duglen, you can live on United World Wrestling. That's going on now. Tomorrow starts the Zagreb Open. Please follow David Taylor on all social media channels. Until next time, wrestling fans, so long. Take care, David.
Thank you.